Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Showdown over Jamaica Teaching Council bill between Jamaica Teachers Association and police concerned about break-ins and robberies in St. Anne's. Jamaica Scorpions in the driver's seat on third day of regional competition. I'm Krista Campbell and here are the details. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, has highlighted a list of concerns about the proposed Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill. A joint select committee of Parliament is discussing the bill and heard the JTA's perspective on Thursday. O'Shane Masters has that story.
One of the chief concerns of the Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, regarding the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill is that the definition of a teacher would exclude dozens of educators.
If we now put this bill into law today, it would in effect wipe out all the teachers we currently have with a diploma. It will wipe out all the specialist 1, the specialist 2. It will wipe out all the teachers.
Mr. Smith, I'm sorry. But yes, when you characterize this bill as doing that, you're sending a very wrong signal to Jamaicans.
No. Despite objections from Committee Chair, Education Minister Favour Williams to his comments, JTA President Winston Smith continued with his point. The bill defines a teacher as one who is licensed, admitted to a recognized teaching program, completed a bachelor's or first degree or postgraduate degree in education.
If this bill, as is here, it will in effect remove the person with a teaching diploma, the person who has qualification from the VTDI, the teachers who are, and there is still a remnant, though small in number, persons with certificate in education.
The JTA president also pointed to educators at institutions like the Endemanic College of Visual and Performing Arts, who are experts in their professions, but not necessarily trained teachers. They would also be affected.
The fact of the matter is the majority of those persons who are not teaching don't meet that qualification when they're deemed to be registered. So we're saying if the bill is passed as it is now, if tomorrow or next month, they're deemed to be registered, fine. They can't teach. Or else the teachers, the employers, if we have our way, would be in flout of the law.
The Joint Select Committee has been hearing comments from stakeholder groups before the JTC bill is passed into law.
We listen carefully and we are anticipating that when not the final, I mean, because we want to have an opportunity to review again before we reach that final stage.
The committee will meet again on Tuesday, May 31. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
A rural school in northwest Manchester is this afternoon beaming with joy after receiving a state-of-the-art internet facility. The institution that has been without connectivity can now facilitate classes from a smart room. Codian Barrett has more.
Deep in the valleys of Mile Gully, Manchester, the Harry Watch Primary and Infant School faced tough times with online learning in the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The school's location made it difficult for internet connectivity, forcing some 150 students into virtual exile. Now, with the help of Regisom Foundation, the students and teachers are benefiting from a state-of-the-art facility.
The Regisom Foundation really go all out to put the internet service here. They had to use fiber optic cables to give us direct internet service. And this is really a big thing for us.
Because of internet challenges, students struggled to keep up with school activities. Now, with their own high-tech smart room, our news team got reactions from some of those very students.
And we apologize for the lack of audio in parts of that story. The St. Anne police are raising concerns about certain types of crimes being committed in the parish. At the Municipal Corporation's monthly meeting, Deputy Superintendent of Police Linton Bailey made specific reference to aggravated assaults, break-ins and robberies.
For break-ins, we have seen where bars, where slot machines are. Those are the main targets for the breakers. I'm happy to report that in St. Anne, we have 4 persons in custody, and the recovery of some slot machine parts and cash that were that were stolen in the bamboo era. We suspect that these persons are those that are committing these offences across the parish.
Bailey says the police have been reaping some level of success in tackling these crimes.
Robberies, we can recall some time ago that it was reported that, that men traveling in mainly Toyota Axio motor car, flashing light, were accosting person and robbing them. One person, which we think is the main player, is in custody now, and we have seen a total reduction in these offences.
Chairman of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation's Health and Sanitation Committee, Councillor Sidney Rose, has served notice to business people in Spanish Town of a plan to clean up the old capital. There has been a backlog of uncollected garbage in the town for several weeks, with the mayor of Spanish Town even given the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, 2 weeks to clear the garbage backlog last month. Councillor Sidney Rose explains that the latest efforts to clean the town is partially to get rid of rodents, which are again creating havoc in Spanish Town.
Come the 21st of May, we'll be embarking on an initiative to clean up Spanish Town somewhat as a municipal corporation, and also to bait some areas. So we are extending a notice to the business community for them to come on board and assist us, you know, to clean up the town and to cause this town to look aesthetic. You know, the aesthetic is not that nice, and we want Spanish Town to be more welcoming.
Regisom Fest is back. This following the official launch of the annual entertainment event yesterday. Sandy Williams has a story.
The return of Regisom Fest means good news for many Jamaicans.
People in the garment industry, including tailors, dressmakers, and fashion designers, the barber, the hairdresser, the peanut vendor, the transport operator, people in food and service, from the soup vendors and the pan chicken man to the fast food franchises and restaurants, people who work in the security industry, and many others.
This after a 2-year hiatus from the entertainment industry.
COVID brought severe hardships, not only to entertainment practitioners, such as performers, producers, stage, light, sound, camera, and design teams, but many people in other sectors who rely on entertainment suffered.
Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the return of the annual event is a sign of rebuilding the entertainment industry and the reggae experience.
We are excited about the recovery that is taking place. And Jamaica's recovery has been stellar in relation to the other areas of the Caribbean. And we are pleased that we are not only building back in terms of bringing visitors to Jamaica, but we are bringing back the quality and the excellence of the Jamaican experiences that have been driving Jamaica brand over the years. And reggae is at the forefront of it.
While welcoming the announcement, Entertainment Minister Olivia Grange cautions promoters and patrons to observe the COVID safety protocols. On Wednesday, the Health Ministry confirmed that Jamaica is in a 5th wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. Minister Grange says the government has established guidelines for the sector to help limit the spread of the virus.
I'm confident that these protocols will help us to ride out this wave and keep the wider entertainment sector open and thriving. So I'm going to use this opportunity to call on event organizers to review your operations to ensure that you are sticking to the protocols and you're making adjustments where there are gaps.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
We take our first break here on the Midday News, but stay tuned for more stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has officially declared the improved Port Royal Street redevelopment project opened. And as Kirk Wright reports, at Wednesday's official opening, Mr. Holness also hinted at some other major developments to take place in downtown Kingston.
The Prime Minister says over $1 billion was spent to shore up a kilometre of the coastline along Port Royal Street that was badly eroded.
it's a small expenditure relative to the benefit that we get. And I'm saying it as well to kind of prepare the minds of our citizens that we are going to have to be spending tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars on our resilience and disaster preparedness and infrastructure development.
But the Prime Minister says Jamaicans can now look out for some major investments in the development of commercial and residential real estate downtown.
And we have been speaking with the World Bank and the IFC about developing a project for the urban renewal of downtown Kingston. And we're very serious about that. We believe that that can be a major catalyst for economic growth in this area. So stay tuned. There will be more to come in the development of downtown Kingston.
Meanwhile, Omar Sweeney, Managing Director of the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, says the coastline improvement work that started at Port Royal Street will extend to Harbourview and beyond.
Disaster vulnerability reduction project, we are targeting vulnerable areas like this in Jamaica. What's important now is that we are actually conducting a study of 8 other coastal areas around the island. And that study will inform us of where we go next. That's one. And it will also inform us of the type of intervention that will be needed to ensure that we can protect our coastline as well as protect the livelihoods of the fishermen that work along the coast.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
Several councillors in St. Catherine are taking issue with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security over its handling of the selection process for the Overseas Work Programme. At the latest Municipal Corporation meeting, the councillors questioned the criteria the ministry uses to select suitable candidates. Sandy Williams reports.
For decades, the Overseas Work Program has been a sign of hope for many Jamaicans, particularly farm workers. However, of late, that silver line has hit a snag, as meeting some of the criteria for the selection process can be challenging.
I have a letter here from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security in which they turn down the person because the person is overweight. I am hearing people hand too soft. I am hearing people have the look like they're not coming back. And some other things they're doing to discriminate the Jamaican worker.
Councillor for the Waterford Division, Fenley Douglas, is questioning the method being used by the Labour Ministry to determine qualified candidates.
I want to know when I am selecting a candidate to make sure that I select the right person. So if there is a requirement for weight, for height, for how strong your hands are, it needs to be told to us before we make the selection.
Mr. Douglas also raised concerns about the number of farm work cards that are allocated to councillors for distribution. Labour and Social Security Minister Carl Samuda indicated that his ministry had asked the members of Parliament to recommend up to 50 candidates for the programme. Meanwhile, councillors can only recommend 5 persons. According to Mr. Douglas, the number allocated to councillors is grossly insufficient. Pointing to the JLP to PMP ratio among parliamentarians, the councillor argues that the program is being used as a political ploy.
When it is that we have 49 members of parliament on the ruling side and 14 on the opposition side, and if the recommendation is 50, then it means it's 2,450. 2,450 persons will be getting over that side and 700 only. And we talk about giving equally. We can't be using government benefit as a political ploy.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And we go now to Cody Barrett for the Business Minute.
The National Export-Import Bank of Jamaica Limited, Exim Bank, will this year be placing special focus on providing support to small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, involved in non-traditional exports. These include tourism and its linkages, manufacturing, agro-processing, mining, the service industry, information and communications technology (ICT), and the creative industries. The bank will also provide more relief support to SMEs via debt refinancing. On Thursday, Canada said it plans to ban the use of China's Huawei technologies and ZTE 5G gear to protect national security. According to Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne, companies will be required to remove their 5G gear by June 2024, and it will not be reimbursed. Companies using their 4G equipment must be removed by the end of 2020. And coming up in the Business Review, one hair product with a host of benefits. How does it work? Join us this Sunday to find out. That's it for the Business Minute this week. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And Sandy Williams has the top regional and international stories.
In regional news, Commonwealth leaders, including those from CARICOM, will vote for a new Secretary General to replace the incumbent Dame Patricia Scotland if they fail to reach a consensus on the matter during their summit in Rwanda next month. Some countries have already offered their support for Jamaica's Kamina Johnson-Smith to be the next Secretary General of the Commonwealth. A Commonwealth spokesperson told the Caribbean Media Corporation, CMC, that as is custom, the consensus will be taken during the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. Earlier this week, Belize Prime Minister John Brasino, who is also the chairman of the 15-member Regional Integration Grouping, said CARICOM leaders will vote for a candidate of their choice when the Commonwealth leaders meet for the June 20 to 25 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. On the international scene, at least 10 people have died and more than 700,000 affected by floods and subsequent landslides in the northeastern Indian state of Assam. The State Disaster Management Authorities say more than 48,000 people were displaced from their homes and forced to take refuge in relief camps as of Thursday. State and national disaster forces, along with various wings of the Army, have been carrying out rescue operations in flood-affected areas. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we take our second break here on the Midday News. When we return, Jordan Fort will have your Midday Sports Report.
Welcome back. It's now time for your Midday Sports. The Jamaica Scorpions were in full control of their third-round regional four-day match at the Brian Lara Cricket Stadium in Trinidad against the Windward Islands Volcanoes at sports time. Resuming on 101 for 3 in their second innings, the Volcanoes were 182 for 7 in the post-lunch session at sports time, with Kavim Hodge so far top scoring with 63. Spinner Jamie Merchant took all 3 wickets in the morning session. He first removed Akeem Geest for 11 before dismissing Kieran Kotoy for 21 and Dennis Smith for a second ball duck. Seema Derval Green took the other wicket to fall. In the meantime, first innings Centurion Karen Powell pushed on to 83 from his overnight 13 to propel the Leeward Islands Hurricanes to 206 for 3 in their second innings, a lead of 423 in the post-lunch session at sports time. Devon Thomas had contributed 77. Spinner Akil Hussain had taken both wickets to fall at sports time. And the Barbados Pride were 150 for 4 at sports time after resuming on 48 for 2 in their first innings, replying to 490 for 7 from the Guyana Harpy Eagles. 490 for 7 declared, that is. Shea Hope was on 64 and Raymond Reefer 27. Some football. Waterhouse were knocked out of the Caribbean Club Championship at the semi-final stage after going down 3-1 to Haitian club Violette FC on Thursday. Waterhouse actually opened the scoring in the 8th minute through Andre Moulton, but Roberto Luima equalized in the 21st for Violette. And a double from Stevenson Juedi in the 75th and 81st ensured the Haitians a place in the final. Chibao beat Vega Real 1-0 in the other semi-final. Waterhouse will now meet Vega Real in the third place playoff, and if they win that contest, they'll head to the 2022 CONCACAF League. And that's it for your Midday Sports Report. Krista, it's back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Jordan. A lot of cricket today.
Yes, indeed, the Regional 4-Day Championship on in full swing.
Okay, all right, and that's the Midday News. I'm Krista Campbell. Join us again at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.